Well, today we're talking with St. Charles Mayor Bill Spitzer, and we're going to talk about Bill's decision that he announced recently. And Bill, thanks for being with us, first of all.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure talking to you, Dave.
The decision we're talking about is you made an announcement that you're not going to run for another mayoral term.
Yeah, that was a tough decision that I made. It was one of those decisions that you would think long and hard on, and you try to figure out, what's the best for not only the community, but, your personal life, what's the next step. So, it was a very difficult decision that I made, and like I said, I've done this for 10 years, 5 terms, and I just decided that this was time. This was time for, somebody else to step forward and steer the ship.
So looking back, Bill, on your last 10 years in office, what are some of the bigger accomplishments that you've seen happen in St. Charles?
Well, there's been so many good things that have happened during the last 10 years. I can think back when I first started as mayor. We had an extensive street rebuild program, and it was kind of one of those things that it was a good and a bad thing that happened. I mean, it was bad because it kind of tied up our entire community for the 3 months under construction. But you know what? When the finished product was done, it was very rewarding to not jump up and down in those potholes and have good roads to drive on. And one of the highlights that came out of it is we were able to spend some extra cash from the project that was already bonded for, that allowed us to put in some bike trails and as a way that we can continue on with our healthy community theme, and as a way that we could expand those bike trails.
Tell us about some challenges, Bill, that you confronted during your time in office at St. Charles.
Right, yeah, we have had our share of catastrophes. I know when I first started over, we had some financial issues of some accounts not being up to snuff and things like that. So I call that my financial crisis. And then we also had the flood, and I think you're kind of seeing the theme here. They all begin with an F here. We had the flood of 2007, and that was a tough time to go through because we lost a lot of homes in that flood, and that was one of the most devastating floods that we've had in recent history for St. Charles. But then again, you look at, what are some positive things that came out of the flood? We were able to mitigate an area of the community with federal funds that continually floods year after year. We were able to mitigate that into a park and ride for our Rochester residents that commute back and forth. So, with the bad came some good things that have come out of that. The other thing, like you said, yeah, we had a fire, another F, and that was the North Star Food plant, which employed a significant amount of our residents. And that was a major setback for our community. We lost quite a few families. We lost one of our major employers. So we had to look at, how are we going to come through on this? And once again, it was another positive thing that came out of that. We were able to get a lot of resources from the state. We were able to get some, grant funding to produce a business park. We're still waiting for that first business, but that all comes in time. And sometimes we as people, we want things instant gratification. We want it to happen right now. And this was one of those projects that, it's going to be a wait. The economy right now is not the best, and it's just starting to turn around right now. So we're very, very hopeful that we're going to get that business up in the business park.
So as you look back over your term in office, Bill, what would you say is the biggest highlight or one of the biggest highlights over your term?
Our food for families, by far, that's one of the things that holds a special place in my heart. We have people in our community that have a hard time putting food on the table. And about 60 families each month would come to our Food and Families, which we started probably about, I would say close to 2 years now. And we partnered up with Project Fine. And we were able to get extra food coming to the food shelf for these 60 families within our community. So, that's really important to me. It's important to me because, I've been very, very lucky and fortunate that I've never had to be in a situation where I'm wondering, how am I going to put food on the table? And that's just something in our society that, it's tough to imagine that there's still people out there that have to think about that. So that was very rewarding for me to be a part of that program.
Well, Bill, you're a pretty young man yet. I can't imagine that you're going to be sitting on the sidelines here. Can you tell us what your future plans might hold?
Well, I don't think you've seen the last of Bill Spitzer. Some people are probably going, "Oh, great," but others are going, "Well, good." I hope that he moves on to other things. And I have a couple of other ideas, both on the county level and on the state level, that I've been looking at, and hopefully I'll have an announcement real quick.
Bill, I appreciate you taking time to come in and talk with us, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
You bet.
Take care.